Hey, welcome to our show here tonight. Welcome to We'll Sing and We'll Shout. I am your host, Steve Hansen. A little bit late here tonight, but here we are. I was actually over at the Provo Rec Center. I was just sharing this story with Cheryl. I got over there a little before 5 and ended up playing basketball for 3 hours. And at first, I just shot around for quite a while, and then some other folks showed up, and we ended up playing 2-on-2, and then some 3-on-3, and then some more 2-on-2. And I think we won more games than we lost, but it was pretty close. It was kind of a back and forth sort of thing. So, wow, ton of. I was expecting to spend some time lifting weights tonight too, but that didn't happen with all the basketball. So I feel pretty worked out. My son and his friend are trying to get me to come over to another chapel here in about 45 minutes
And play some more.
and play some more because they need more players. But I'm just like, guys, I'm almost 60 years old and I just played for 3 hours. So
Right.
I don't know. I mean, when I was younger, I would probably like totally do that. And I've also got to start a roof project tomorrow, right here in the neighborhood. We got this roof. It has 3 layers of shingles on it. I'll take some pictures and I'll share this experience. I'm going to put some chapstick on my lips here, but I'll take some pictures and I'll share this roof experience. We'll kind of go through the process of doing a residential roof. That'll be kind of fun. So, but I was telling my
So,
sister Cheryl about
hang on,
that.
I want to say something about basketball.
Go ahead.
Martin and I were watching. For some reason, Larry Bird came up, so we were watching Larry Bird clips tonight, and
Oh,
all the black guys, all the black players, just famous, all the famous guys said Larry Bird was the worst trash talker of all of
mm.
them. He'd be like, "I'm going to shoot this right in your face, and I'm going to turn around here, and then I'm going to put it right in the basket, and you're going to be standing right there looking at me." And just like he'd just be really kind of never like vulgar, but just really
Oh,
just kind of in your face kind of guy. And man, so we
he,
watched a whole bunch of Larry Bird clips. Jiminy, that guy could play ball. It was
yeah,
just crazy.
he could get a little vulgar at times, but yeah, he was a good old Indiana boy there for sure.
Yeah,
So
I know.
he was fun. Yeah, I love Larry, and I talk some smack out there on the court for sure,
Uh-huh.
but probably not to the same level Larry does. But yeah, I have some good time with the young guys out there, and I just let them know, who's in charge. So
Right.
and
Well, Magic
sometimes,
Johnson was saying when he twisted his ankle, so he was on the bench for the whole game. And Larry came over just before the game and said, "No, I'm going to put on a show for you today." And so
right,
Larry's out there, and every time he like shoots a three pointer or something, he'd look over at Magic and kind of wink.
yeah,
Too
yeah.
funny.
And Dennis, I watch a lot of Larry Bird clips, so it's funny you mentioned that. But Dennis Rodman was talking about Larry, and Dennis, Larry just totally cooked him one game, and Dennis was saying it was because he was white, and
Uh-huh.
and and Larry's comeback was just like, yeah, whatever. He really didn't make too much of a big thing about the racial thing, but he just said, yeah, but I'm going to kick his butt again next year. And so he just like upped the ante for next year, and
Right.
you just kind of because Dennis was a really solid player and a really good
Yeah.
defensive
He
player,
used to play for the
but
Pistons for a while.
but he couldn't deal with Larry Bird. So,
Right.
but
All right. So
but
tell
yeah,
your story
so
about at the gym.
well, so here a couple months ago, our LDS friends will appreciate this more than maybe others, but um, I just had this feeling, I just got this prompting that I should start wearing my garments when I go to the rec center, not at the rec center, but instead of just putting my gym clothes on and driving to the rec center like I've done for years. There's this prompting was just like, I want you to wear your garments when you go to the rec center because the rec center is across town. It's not like I'm just going out for a run in the neighborhood or something like that. And this prompting is kind of a little bit annoying because it's like I don't really want to do that. I just want to wear my gym clothes and go to the rec center, but the prompting was kind of like there and was like, okay, I guess I can do that. I don't really want to do that,
Right.
but I guess I
When you hear
will.
it enough times, you just follow. You
And,
just follow.
and so I'm like, okay, I could do that. And that kind of makes sense. So instead of just wearing my gym clothes, now I go over there, I go into the locker room. I have to look at, old men's butts and things like that in the locker room, which, just as soon avoid that. But
Hmm.
so I'm in there, I change my clothes. And instead of putting my pants and my shirt and my nice button down shirt and my garments in my back in my gym bag, I'm just going to stick in one of these little lockers here while I go play basketball. I'll come right back. I'll put things on. I'll go home. Well, I get done playing basketball today. I go in there to put my clothes back on, and my clothes are gone. And I'm like going through this locker. I know it was this locker right here, you know,
Right.
and I didn't put a lock on it, but this is Provo, Utah. Like, why would somebody steal my clothes? But
Hmm.
I went through a bunch of lockers, and I went to the next bay over. Like, am I just getting really, am I getting like dad here? Am I getting some dementia?
Right.
Um, so I went through a bunch of lockers in the next bay over, and then I went to the other bay. I'm like, I know I wasn't over here, but I'm just going to look just because. And yeah, somebody stole my clothes. So I go up to the front desk, and I'm like, I know this is, I know this is impossible, but did somebody happen to, turn in some clothes like they were left behind? And so I talked to her for a moment. So she went back and looked and lost and found, and she's like, no. And so how weird is that? Like, why would you steal somebody's clothes? So fortunately, they weren't clothes that I was like, super attached to, but still, it's nice to not have your clothes stolen. And
Better take a
they
lock
could
next time.
have walked 2 blocks away to DI and bought those same clothes for about $1. You know,
Oh, for sure.
I
And
mean,
what's the that they're going to fit them?
so it's really more of anything. It's just this. Oh, here's something I can steal. Why don't I take it? and
Right.
and to know that you have that kind of people in your neighborhood or in your community is just really sad. It's really sad. And so the lesson I learned today was don't leave your stuff unlocked in the Provo locker room. So
Yep.
really, really disappointed that I have to share that here on my Facebook Live. But we're all about truth here. We're all about telling the truth and sharing the realities. And that was
So
my
I know Provo pretty well. Where is this, Jim?
reality today. Well, you know where the Smiths is downtown, or the grocery store near
Yep.
downtown. That is on about 200 north. And the rec center is on 500 north and about 300 west.
Okay.
Right over there near the hospital. Um,
Yep.
yeah, so that's where the new rec center is. It's been
Yep.
open about 10 or 11 years, maybe even 12. We were we became members the year that it opened. It was a brand new rec center. It's an amazing place. I love the Pro Rec Center. I am
Yeah.
not aware of every rec center in the country, but I am not aware of a better rec center than the Provo Rec Center. It is
Yeah.
just really awesome place. So, but wasn't so awesome for me today. Um,
Huh.
so, hey, we were going to talk about, so today's Testimony Tuesday. We were going to kind of, share our testimonies about a different topic. And, I'm really big, obviously, on the whole, unicity protocol. I love what this has done for my health and how much healing this has brought into my life over the last 9 months. And it really has been amazing. Not only has it helped me lose 45 pounds, but my gut health has improved dramatically over the last 9 months because of the fiber matrix that I use and because of this unamate yerba based drink that I use in the morning that naturally raises my GLP-1. It has a lot of other health benefits. This whole protocol has just changed my physical health. But one of the things, Cheryl, that we were talking about, or that I was talking about,
Uh-huh.
introducing is the idea that there's a lot more to your life healing than just physical things. And sometimes there's a lot of emotional, spiritual things going on in your heart and mind that have to heal too. And I think that's where, my testimony of the gospel of Jesus Christ really comes into play. And that when we understand that, when we strive to understand that, and that's a lifelong quest, but when we strive to understand that and apply that correctly, that's where we can really find healing, not only in our physical self, but in our hearts and minds. Um, any thoughts there? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but
Um, well, I was just thinking today about the fact that Alan Osmond passed away. Did you know that? The oldest one?
I did see that on Facebook. Yeah,
And he was not really the oldest. There were two older brothers than him, but they were the deaf ones. So he was the oldest of the performing group. And he had
sure,
MS.
sure. I did not know that there were older deaf brothers in the Osmond family. How did I miss
Yeah,
that?
there were
Huh.
two brothers. And they continued having children, even though they had these two deaf boys. And
Right.
of course, they had this whole beautiful singing family. So,
And they had
um,
9, right? And it wasn't did they end up
yeah,
with 9?
yeah,
So,
I believe there's nine. So
right.
there's eight boys and then Marie. Well, Jimmy's the youngest, Marie's the second youngest.
R
So
Maria was the only girl.
Marie's the only girl.
Yeah.
I know how
Do you
she
remember
feels.
do you remember that, Steve Bledsoe, when you and Scott came out and visited me in Huntington Beach? Steve Bledsoe was one of my roommates there. He was the
The blonde?
taller, blonde, thinner guy.
Yeah, I
Uh,
remember him.
he was from a family of 9, and there was only one girl in that family, and she was right smack dab in the middle. She had
Oh,
4 older brothers and 4 younger brothers.
and 4 younger brothers. Jiminy,
And
poor thing.
I think Steve was like just older than her, so they were pretty close. And she would pop over to the apartment, not real regularly, but enough that I gotten to know her, somewhat anyway. But when you mentioned one girl and 8 brothers, that reminded me of the Bledsoe family there. And then, of course, I went down and stayed with them in Dana Point for 3 months, and that's where Kathy and Cindy Belfiore came out
Oh, right, and then you
and
had that whole
stayed
adventure.
when they came down to Dana Point there for a couple nights.
Yep.
So yeah, well, we should talk about that whole thing another time. But anyway, go ahead. What else?
So,
were you saying?
well, just that, the Osmond family and their, just their fabulous example that they've been through the years. They were famous all that time, and yet they've all really clung to the gospel, and they've all had great families. And, you look at Donnie, and the man just glows. I mean, you look at Donnie and Michael Jackson were popular at the same time. Basically, one of 5 brothers, the lead singer. They're very similar in that way. And they were actually friends. But you look at the turn that Michael Jackson's life took, and then you look at Donnie, and he's lived the gospel his whole life, and he still glows. His show is the biggest thing in Las Vegas. He's just like, he's an amazing performer. He's an amazing man. But their whole family, to me, um, when I found out they were Mormon, I mean, I was only in 2nd grade when I even found out about the Osmonds, but I liked Jimmy because he was my age. But just all along, I have followed them. And just, I went to a testimony meeting at the old Columbus building where Dad used to clean, and the whole Osmond family was there giving their testimonies. It was like a whole fireside, starring the Osmond family. So I got to see them up close, and it
Right
just,
there beside Riverside Methodist at the old
yes,
Columbus. Oh wow.
yeah.
How did
So
I
I
miss
have
out on
I,
that?
I have kind of an interesting little story about that.
Yeah.
Um, we were in I was in 4th grade when we moved to the farm, and I had seen the Osmonds a couple times at the state fair. Dad had taken me. They performed there at the Ohio State Fair, and so I remember one time we were pulling in the driveway, and I was praying, and I must have been 4th or 5th grade. I was praying that somehow I would get to meet the Osmond family. It was just this silly prayer said by a little girl. And I knew it was impossible. I knew there's no way I'd ever get to meet the Osmond family, but I just prayed it anyway. And it was maybe a month or 2 later, Mom and Dad got a call from the Stotts. Do you remember the Stotts in Columbus? They used to talk
Right.
about them. They did Shackley with the Stotts.
Right. I do remember the name. I don't remember the people, but I do remember the name. Yeah.
Well, they had a daughter named, I think it was Jackie, but she was about my age. She was a little bit older than me. And they said, well, the Osmond family is going to be coming to do a fireside at our chapel here in Columbus, and we know Cheryl's a fan. Would she want to come down and stay with our family for a few days and go to that fireside? And Mom came to me and said, "Would you like to go to Columbus and see the Osmonds?" And I was I was like, can this really be true? It was just like
I
you said, like a fairy story. I mean, I was just on cloud 9. So I got to go down and stay with them, and she and I had a blast, and we were singing the Partridge Family and all sorts of stupid things that girls do. And then when we came to Brother Stott must have had some pull, because when we got to the ward building, we were sitting in like the 2nd or 3rd row. We were pretty close to the front. And
wow.
they came in from the outside and basically marched right in front of us and then up onto the stand. But I got to hear each of them give their testimony. And Donnie talked about this time he had appendicitis and nearly died. And so it was just like God answers prayers. I mean, you can pray the silliest thing, and then all of a sudden, there it is right in front of you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
pretty good story.
Remember, though I don't remember those details, but I do remember you doing that.
Yeah.
Um, Marie lives about a mile away here. I could literally go knock on her door. I'm
Yeah,
not
she
gonna
lives kind of up a little further, but up the hill.
she lives up just an Orem here.
Yeah.
Um, but so when I was in the MTC here with George Durant as the MTC president, George had Marie come and speak on Christmas Eve. She came in and sang a few songs and bore her testimony. And as she was leaving, I was sitting right on the aisle, and she happened to walk down the aisle that I was sitting on. And I'm just watching her come down and looking at her. She's getting ready to pass by me, and she looks over at me, and she said hi. She said hi to me. She didn't say. I don't think she said hi to anybody else as she walked down through there. Why she looked at
Right.
me and said hi, I have no idea. And I
Probably
said
because
hi
she's like,
back.
"Hey, I recognize your sister from Columbus."
Yeah, yeah, that must have been it. She's like, "Oh, I think are you that one gal's sister?" I think that's what probably was going through her head, and that's why she said hi.
I'm
But yeah,
sure that was it.
Marie Osmond said hi to me. Now she had been newly married, so I don't think she was, looking at me like, I wonder if I should wait for that, this guy to get back
Not
from his
nice
mission.
missionary,
I
right?
don't think that's what was going through her head. But why she up and said hi to me, I don't know. But it was pretty cool. I have that in my journal from that night. I was like, yeah, Marie
Wow,
Marie Osmond said hi to me.
right,
So that was kind of like my little Christmas present there in the MTC. Donnie is doing amazing things. I mean, he's still got his show in Vegas. I think it's still
right.
running,
Yeah, he just
and
won some big
the
award
dude,
for being the most popular show in Vegas.
and yeah, he's just doing amazing stuff down there. But um,
And then
one of the things,
I did literally run into Merrill at a football game. I was a concession stand worker when I was at BYU the fall of '85, and
uh,
I happened to be running to the stand that was in the northwest corner of the building because I was late. So I'm running as fast as I can, trying to dodge the crowd, and I actually saw um, Dallin Oaks get out of his car and come into the game that day. I
oh,
saw
cool,
a limo pull up and Dallin Oaks get out, and I recognized him because he had just become an apostle. I'm
okay,
like, oh my gosh, there's that new apostle. Now he's a
yeah,
prophet.
yeah, he's the
But
prophet, yeah.
so I'm running through the crowd trying to get there, and I literally ram into this man, and he was carrying a child, like probably 3 year old. It wasn't a baby, but he dropped the child because I ran into him. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I was so appalled. So I picked the child up off the ground and I hand it to the person standing there, and it was Meryl Osmond. I was like, so sorry. And I was just like dumbfounded. Here I am in front of Meryl Osmond and just being a total idiot, you know.
And you
So
knocked the child out of his hand. Wow,
I knocked the child. Well, it's probably a grandchild by that point, but
right.
just a big idiot. So, and then I did actually meet Jimmy that semester too, because I was helping with the play Cinderella that was there at the big what did they call that? The Hart Auditorium. They're tearing it down now. Anyway, the big music facility there on campus.
Right.
um, I was helping backstage with this play Cinderella that they were doing. And and everybody knew Jimmy Osmond was there that night. So like, Jimmy Osmond's here. So he came backstage and I was happened to be back there. So I actually went up and shook his hand. Just said,
Oh,
you're
oh.
supposed to marry me. But I didn't say that.
I know he was your little heartthrob at one time. Yes.
Yes, he was.
So
So all right, not Osmond stories, but I just think their family's amazing.
yeah, yeah, they sure are. And like every family, they've had their ups and downs, and they've had their difficult things, but they've also had their fame, and that's one of the most biggest challenges of
Damaging.
all is dealing with wealth and fame,
Yeah.
and they've managed to work through it all. So
Because she was married to that
um,
Craig guy and then
well,
divorced, and now she's remarried to him
yeah,
again.
yeah. Now she's remarried to him, and there was
Yeah.
some guy in there between. So Maria's had her challenges too, for sure,
Yep.
but she seems to be in a pretty good place now. Um, so. Um, one of the with the Easter here, I was thinking about this a little bit, but I I really kind of believe that we have the s- the seeds of resurrection within us, and like it's like the power is already there, and it's really more of a realization that we'll have on resurrection morning than any new thing that's going to like magically sweep through us. Um, I guess the reason I say that is because when I had this experience 17 years ago of learning of some new information coming to me that impacted me in a really powerful way, for about a month or so, I literally felt like I was literally, I mean, it's almost like I was quasi resurrected, just in the way that just in the emotional way that I felt. And it caused me to reflect on what it would, obviously, resurrection is the ultimate healing. I mean,
Right.
how can you be more healed than that, than to come back from being dead. That's
Right.
pretty good healing there.
Yeah, me and
And
Martin were just reading the story about Lazarus today, so that's kind of interesting.
so yeah, and so basically what the Savior did there is he just brought Lazarus back to you know back to an understanding. I mean, all he did was talk to him. It's not like he went in there and gave him some
Right.
medicine
But it was
or
4 days. 4 days he was
and-
dead.
yeah. And um so I really think that that power of resurrection is already there, and it's just a matter of somebody who has the ability to do that, to bring our minds to the point where we can understand and come forth like that. I don't know.
Well, it's a
I can
priesthood power,
I
probably.
I can play around with that theory some more for you, but I really do believe that that's how that is, and I believe that because that's kind of what I felt 17 years ago when I had that experience of having some new information come at me, and it literally felt like for quite a while there that I'd literally had this quasi resurrection experience. Um, so kind of weird stuff, I guess. We like to
That's
delve
okay.
off. We like
Yes,
to delve off in the unknowns here, but I really do believe that that power of resurrection is there within us all the time, and it's really just somebody helping us to feel it and understand it that brings it forth.
we're going
It's
to
not
philosophize today.
it, it's not
That's a
some
big,
new right. It's not some
big
new
word.
thing that's going to come from some other source. It's already there. It's already within us. We just need somebody to help us feel it and understand it. And and there's nobody on this earth who can do that. But but anyway, what do you think about that theory? Do you like that?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think there's a lot of times when something will hit me between the eyes and I'll be just like, I never thought of it that way. And it just
Right.
like, and it's obviously so truthful. And for some reason, your mind just never wrapped around it before. And yeah, I've had that experience a few times where it's just like pure knowledge, I guess is what you call it,
Mm.
where like
Mhm.
stuff that you've believed for your whole life all of a sudden is turned on its head and you're like, oh, that's not how it is at all. And yeah,
There's there's this quote that I've heard. I can't remember who said this, but it kind of goes like this: "It's not so much the things that I didn't know that hurt me; it's the things that I thought I knowed that just wasn't so." And I think there's so much truth to that. It's the things that you hold on to so tightly that all of a sudden you find out, well, this isn't really true, and your whole world changes because you've now accepted, a new truth or a better truth or a higher
right.
truth.
Yeah.
And that's how this whole, diet thing, like I thought that calories in, calories out, diet,
Right.
exercise thing
That's
for 42 freaking years.
Well, that's because
And
that's what dad taught us. That's what
and
dad taught me.
well, and you learned that, and that was the way that was all taught
That's
and in
knowledge. Yeah.
society and everything. And all of a sudden I come to find out, you know what, if you just control your hormones, if you learn how to control insulin, you don't have to do a bunch of crazy dieting.
The
You don't
rest
have
will take care of itself.
you don't have to exercise, like a fruitcake. If you just control your hormones correctly, and you can do that, then your health will just come back naturally, and it's not like some hard thing to do. And I'll just make this another sales pitch. You can do that hormone control thing without these, but when you're coming from an unhealthy place, these products that I use, these nutraceuticals, make it so easy and even make it so reasonable and even easy to do. It's hard to do without them. It's still possible, but it's hard. But with them, it's such an easy thing. And that's where it's like, this is such a great blessing. Why don't people look at this? Why don't they do it? But nobody really
That's
wants to
kind of like
listen
the
to
the
me, and they
live
won't
you
take
had a
care.
few days ago. That one lady was just like, what she's like talking about her family and she's like, what are they waiting for? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, the Latino
Yeah.
Hispanic gal. Yeah, she was just a bundle of energy. So here's this gal who weighed like 245,
I
250
saw her
pounds or
picture.
something. Now
Yeah.
she's lost, 65, 75 pounds or something, and she is preparing to run a marathon.
That's
And
amazing.
she's the mother of like 5 kids or something, and she's out here preparing to run a marathon because she's got so much energy and she's so excited about all this change in her life. I'm pretty excited about the change in my life too, but I am not going to go run a marathon this year. Um, I don't know that I will ever decide that that's something I want to do.
Maybe a
Uh,
5K.
yeah, I could do a 5K. but I don't see myself wanting to punish myself with a marathon. I mean, I want to play basketball better, and I still want to lose 25 pounds so I can jump better and do the things I want to do. But I don't see a marathon in my future. So she was a bundle of energy. She was a lot of fun, and she's a Facebook friend now. So I may, you know
Nice.
what I may do? I may try to get her on my show here and let her tell more of her story
Yeah, she
and
was really
learn
interesting.
more about Ava. Um, that would be a lot of fun to get her on, and she would totally do this. She would
Oh yeah.
be no problem. In fact, I have, I don't know if the number is 1,000, but I have well over 100 friends in this Unicity thing who would gladly jump on a call here and share their stories. And so I'm going to start doing that and get more people involved. In addition to, so this was really cool. Out of that live that they did, that group live that we did, I have a friend named Rob Blyle, and Rob was an assistant to the president in the mission when I got down to Australia. So he was one of the key guys that kind of got me into the mission field and helped, train me. And, was just somebody you kind of looked up to, and he was worth looking up to because Rob was a really good guy, really solid guy.
Hmm.
He saw that live, and he and his wife have now bought, who bought the first
The
subscription,
starter pack kind of thing.
and they bought the starter pack, and they're going to try this. I don't know exactly what they're trying to accomplish health wise, but whatever was shared in that live the other night, they latched onto it and said, and he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I think I'm ready to try this." So
Right.
I got him the information. I want to have a phone call with him so I can talk to him more. But they purchased the subscription, and they're going to give it a go. And it was both he and his wife. So like, so cool. Like, I'm so excited. He knows my friend Greg Henson, who was also in the mission field because they served together.
Ah,
So when I let Rob know that Greg has been having really good success with this and has already lost like 23 pounds, um, that was really, helpful for him too. So, so really cool stuff. But
well,
yes,
Martin and I just got our box. And what I did is I actually got a box of the lemon that's the non-caffeinated
mhm,
because so many times at night I want to be sitting here drinking one, but I don't want to take a bunch of caffeine before I go to bed.
yeah,
So I got a box of the caffeine free and then one of the lemon that has the caffeine, and then I got of course, the balance. So I'm excited to try that because our box just came yesterday. So I'm excited to try that caffeine free lemon one. But and then
yeah.
I
I
can
like,
then when I'm sitting here at night and I'm watching TV, instead of eating, I can be drinking one of those.
yeah. That's a really good plan, and I like the caffeine free one in the evening too because I'm not super sensitive to caffeine anymore, but I'm sensitive enough that I need to be careful like that. So hey, we are about 30 minutes into this, which is amazing. It's so easy, sure, when you get on here with me and we start going back and forth like this, and I look up and all of a sudden 30 minutes is gone. But
Right.
the people I love our show so much that they would probably watch it for 2 hours. So, I don't think we need to get too concerned about cutting it short, but we do want to try to be reasonable. Um,
Hey,
so
I have
let's
a question for you.
yeah,
Is that tractor that's right behind you the one from your childhood?
no, it's not. I bought
Ah,
that online. It is a 656,
well, of course. That
which
was your
is,
favorite tractor.
yeah, but it doesn't have the fenders. Our 656 had the fenders
All
that you
right.
fit on. It also doesn't have the 3-point hitch. It's got the fixed
Mm.
hitch on there, whereas ours had the 3-point hitch that would go up and down. It's missing the little lever that turns the baler on. It doesn't have a gear shift over here or a torque
Picky,
lever
picky,
over
Steve.
here.
It's a toy.
So it's not perfectly accurate, but
But the
it does
fenders were
say,
so fun to sit on. Like I'd sit on the fender,
yeah,
and Grandpa or Dad would drive, and that was fun.
it does
Because they
say
were big flat
650.
fenders. They weren't
Yeah,
like
they
like
weren't.
you when you think of a fender of a tractor, you think maybe it's rounded off. No, I wasn't sitting on a rounded fender. They were like a big flat thing.
Yeah, the 350 had the rounded ones. You couldn't
Right.
sit on those, but so I have an actual 656 on the other side of town over there where Bart lives, at our property
Ah,
over there. I have a 656. It's not,
like you have the actual big tractor?
oh yeah, and it's got the
Wow,
fender.
that's so
It's got the
cool.
full size fenders. It is a hydrostat. It's a hydrostatic drive. which you probably don't know what that means. But instead of actual gears, it has a hydraulic pump and a hydraulic motor, and so it's driven it's driven hydraulically. It's driven
Yeah, that
statically,
makes sense. Yep.
and so it's really smooth between as you speed it up that you don't shift gears. You just it it just more oil flows. But anyway,
Well,
we'll
Aaron got
have to
some cool
do.
tractors too. So you guys could talk
Yeah, well,
tractors some days.
I think he's got the 1066 and I think he's got the 350.
Yeah.
So grandpa wanted to sell me the 656 when he was selling off the farm and stuff. But
Hmm.
that's when I lived in Dublin there at Bretton Woods Apartments. They're right off of
And what would you have
270.
done with it?
And I'm like, Grandpa, what am I going to do with the tractor?
Right.
I mean, I would love to have it and I would love to buy it from you. The 656, was my life there. But
Yeah.
what am I going to do with the tractor, Grandpa? And
Yep.
so I was not in a position to buy that tractor, but I wish I could have.
Yeah.
Um, so all right, well, let's let these good folks go. Tomorrow night is Weight Loss Wednesday, so I might actually do this. I might try to reach out to
Yeah. See
Ava
if you can get that young lady on. She was funny.
and see if we can get her on. Well, you say young; she's not. She was in her 40s or something,
Well,
but I
I
guess
know.
that's young to us anyway, huh?
Hmm.
No, actually, I think she was 50. Maybe I'm not
She
remembering.
seemed young. Young at heart.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was definitely young at heart. She was a bundle of energy. She was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
That whole thing, like I thought Heidi and I were just going to go in there and visit with Brittany and the other folks for like 15, 20 minutes and turn around and go home. Brittany had all this planned out for us and decided we would do this group live. And it turned out to be a lot of fun. And it was really neat to introduce all these other people to my Facebook group. So,
I
so
liked Heidi's story about the gum, the periodontal, and how she wasn't having as much swelling because I
yeah,
just went to the dentist yesterday and me and Martin had appointments to go to the dentist just before COVID hit. And then, of course, they canceled them because of COVID. So we hadn't been to the dentist in quite a while. And they were telling us, we had a little bit of gum disease and stuff like that. So I kept thinking about Heidi and what she had said and how this stuff helped her reduce her inflammation. And that's so important.
right. Yeah, well, your mouth health, your gum health is tied to your gut health. So improve your gut health, and a lot of things can change, and one of them is what's going on in your mouth. So,
Nice.
so yeah, very cool.
I
Well, hey,
guess it is all tied together.
let's let these good folks go, and then we'll talk for a moment here. But yes, thanks for joining. Always appreciate anyone who cares to listen to Heidi and I, or Cheryl and I carry on. And if anybody would like to jump in here and be a part of this amazing show, and share some of their stories. We welcome all comers. So we will.